Have you ever noticed someone walk into a room and without saying a word, suddenly everyone seems to notice them? What is it about certain people that makes them instantly magnetic, without trying, without showing off, without saying anything at all? And what if you could unlock that same quiet power, not by changing who you are, but by leaning deeper into who you've always been? That right there is what we call silent attractiveness. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room, the flashiest dresser, or the person telling the most captivating stories. It's not about drawing attention to yourself. It's about drawing people in effortlessly. There's a kind of energy that certain people carry, calm, composed, grounded, and deeply self-assured. It's not something they announce, it's something they radiate. Being silently attractive isn't about chasing perfection. It's not about having a flawless face or making grand sweeping gestures. It's about something far more lasting. It's about presence. It's in the way you carry yourself, how you treat those around you, and how deeply comfortable you are in your own skin. It's about mastering habits that speak for you, loudly, without you ever having to raise your voice. Habits that exude confidence without arrogance. Habits that project kindness, strength, and self-respect without needing constant validation. And the most beautiful part? You don't need to reinvent yourself to unlock this presence. You simply need to reconnect with the most authentic, aligned version of you. In this episode, we'll walk through 11 quietly powerful habits, each one inspired by timeless Stoic wisdom. These aren't quick tricks or personality hacks. They are enduring principles that have stood the test of time, tools that help you build inner resilience, emotional intelligence, and the kind of quiet confidence that draws respect and admiration from the people around you. We'll talk about how to embrace your independence, how to embody silent elegance, how to cultivate wisdom, and ultimately, how to become someone whose mere presence speaks volumes, even when you speak very little. By the time we finish, you'll understand something crucial. Real attractiveness isn't something you chase. It's something you grow. It's something that begins within. It's quiet. It's steady. And once you master it, it changes not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. So let's begin. Because becoming silently attractive isn't about making noise. It's about making impact. Quietly, intentionally, powerfully. Habit 1. Embrace your authentic independence. There's a rare kind of strength in people who don't rely on others to validate their worth. It's a quiet strength, unshakable, magnetic, impossible to ignore. True independence doesn't mean shutting people out. It doesn't mean proving you're better off alone. What it does mean is choosing to live by your own values. It means finding joy, purpose, and contentment in who you are, not in how the world sees you. This kind of independence sends a message without speaking. I respect myself, and I don't need outside approval to feel whole. And that's powerful. That's attractive. In a world where comparison and approval-seeking dominate social spaces, authentic independence is a rare jewel. It's refreshing, it's inspiring, and it immediately sets you apart. When you're truly independent, you stop competing. You stop chasing. You simply focus on your path, your growth, your vision. And that quiet focus, it speaks louder than any declaration ever could. You don't have to announce that you're confident. People feel it. You don't have to tell the world you're in control of your life. They'll see it in your posture, your composure, and your calm intentional energy. But let's be honest, independence isn't always easy. Sometimes it means trusting yourself when no one else is cheering. Sometimes it means standing firm in your choices, even when they're unpopular. It means being comfortable in your own company, not because you're avoiding others, but because you genuinely find peace within yourself. And when you reach that point, when you no longer need external noise to feel complete, you become someone others quietly admire and naturally respect. Authentic independence is the opposite of arrogance. It doesn't say, "I don't need anyone." It says, "I am whole on my own, and that's why I can truly connect with others." Because only when you are whole can your relationships be built on mutual respect, not dependence. And that, more than anything, is what makes you silently, undeniably attractive. It's steady, it's grounded, it's real. Now that we've explored the quiet strength of authentic independence, it's time to take a closer look at what reinforces that presence, the values that guide you. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I truly living according to what matters most to me? Or am I unknowingly shaped by what others expect of me? That simple reflection can change everything, because real independence doesn't begin with a dramatic act of rebellion. It begins with alignment. When your choices reflect your inner compass rather than external demands, you begin to reclaim your life. Spend time alone, not from loneliness, but to reconnect with yourself. These moments of solitude are not empty, they're restorative. Whether it's a quiet walk, writing your thoughts in a journal, or simply sitting in stillness, you're giving your inner voice the space it needs to be heard. And over time, these small rituals strengthen your sense of self. You begin to know yourself more clearly, trust yourself more deeply, stand more firmly. And here's the quiet beauty of it all. When you live in alignment, attention no longer needs to be chased. It comes to you. People will notice something in you they can't quite describe. They'll sense the calm confidence in how you move, the quiet assurance in your actions, and the steady strength in your energy. You won't need to be the loudest person in the room to be seen. You'll be respected not for trying to be someone, but for simply being who you really are. And in a world filled with performance and pretense, that kind of authenticity is rare and irresistibly attractive. Now let's be clear, embracing your independence doesn't mean closing yourself off from others. On the contrary, it means valuing yourself enough to build relationships based on trust and mutual respect, rather than neediness or dependence. And that's exactly what makes you silently magnetic. You're not trying to impress. You're not trying to prove. You simply are. And that presence lingers in the minds of others long after the moment has passed. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it leaves a mark. And even more powerfully, it quietly inspires others to do the same. Habit 2. Master the art of silent elegance. Sometimes the most powerful statement in a room is made without a single word. Silent elegance is the ability to carry yourself with grace, poise, and quiet confidence, no matter the setting. It's in how you walk, how you listen, how you engage. It's the energy you bring with you. An energy that whispers, not shouts. You don't have to dominate the conversation. You don't have to compete for attention, because silent elegance speaks for itself. It's subtle, refined, and endlessly captivating. Picture someone entering a room with calm, steady presence. They don't need to announce themselves, yet somehow all eyes drift toward them. Why? Because their presence says more than their words ever could. That's the heart of silent elegance. It's made up of composure, of intentional, thoughtful movements, of respectful, mindful behavior that leaves people feeling seen and appreciated. Your body language is often the first voice people hear. Confidence isn't only what you say, it's how you stand, how you walk, and how you carry yourself. A relaxed, upright posture, steady, intentional eye contact, movements that are measured, not exaggerated. When your body communicates calm and control, people naturally gravitate toward you. But elegance isn't just in posture, it's in your manners too. Greeting others with warmth, listening without interruption, treating everyone around you with consistent respect. It's not about being overly formal or distant. It's about offering a quiet dignity in how you engage. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And when your presence leaves others feeling valued, that is silent elegance at work. Beyond posture and politeness, true elegance is most tested when things get messy. In a noisy, reactive world, the ability to remain calm and composed, especially under pressure, is a rare superpower. When others lose control and you remain grounded, you gain a quiet kind of strength. You don't have to react emotionally or engage in pointless arguments. Instead, you respond with thoughtfulness, showing that you are in control of yourself, not at the mercy of the moment. The Stoics understood this deeply. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That calm, that stillness, is where true elegance lives. When your actions are intentional, your words are measured, and your presence is steady, people trust you. They're drawn to you, and they begin to model you because your calm becomes contagious. So how can you start cultivating silent elegance in your everyday life? Start small. Notice how you move through your day. Are you rushing from task to task, tense and reactive? Or are you grounded, present, aware of your energy? Even the smallest shift in awareness, how you walk, how you breathe, how you respond, can begin to change everything. As we continue cultivating silent elegance, one thing becomes clear. It isn't about grand gestures. It's about intentional presence in every little thing you do. The simplest way to begin: slow down, stand tall, take a deep breath, let your posture reflect composure, and as you interact with others, ask yourself, are you truly listening or just waiting for your turn to speak? Silent elegance grows not from perfection, but from mindfulness. It blooms when you are fully present, when your attention isn't scattered, but calmly anchored in the moment. Your tone softens, your responses become thoughtful, your energy shifts from reaction to presence. Next, focus on refinement, not the pursuit of flawlessness, but the steady, graceful effort to bring your best self forward. Maybe it's a subtle way you choose your words. Maybe it's dressing with quiet style. Or maybe it's the grace with which you enter a room without the need to dominate it. Elegance is built not in bold strokes, but in the quiet rhythm of consistent, intentional choices. And here's the truth. Silent elegance isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about fully embracing who you are, and doing so with calm confidence. You show up, not to impress, but to contribute your best energy. And over time, people will begin to associate you with something they can't quite name. A sense of poise, of steadiness, of respectful calm. They may not know why they feel more grounded around you, but they'll feel it. And that's the magic of silent elegance. It leaves an impression without ever demanding attention. When you master this art, you begin walking through life with dignity and quiet strength. Admiration doesn't have to be chased. It follows you naturally. And as you move, your grace inspires others to move a little more gently, a little more respectfully, and with a little more elegance too. Habit 3. The subtle scent of sophistication. Sometimes it's the smallest detail that leaves the most lasting impression. The subtle scent of sophistication is one of those quiet, often overlooked elements that can make someone quietly irresistible. It's not about filling the air with overpowering fragrance. It's about leaving behind a faint, refined trace, something barely noticeable, yet completely unforgettable. Think of a time when you remembered someone just because of how they smelled. A warm, woody note, a crisp freshness, a gentle sweetness. Scent is one of the most instinctive, emotional senses we have, and when it's used with care, it becomes an invisible signature. A well-chosen scent speaks volumes. It says, "I take care of myself." It whispers, "I pay attention to the details others overlook." And in those subtle details, silent attraction is born. But here's the key. This isn't just about wearing perfume or cologne. It's about balance and intention. Heavy, overpowering scents can be off-putting, but a light, well-selected fragrance, something that feels like an extension of your personality, invites closeness. Even the clean, fresh scent of good hygiene and proper grooming can leave a stronger impression than the most expensive bottle of cologne. It's not about extravagance, it's about thoughtfulness. Because when someone smells refined, you assume they live with refinement, that they care about how they carry themselves, not only in the visible ways but in the unseen, intimate layers of their presence. Choosing a scent isn't just a cosmetic decision. It's a form of self-expression. Whether you lean towards something woody, aquatic, floral, or warm, it should feel like you. It should enhance your presence, not overpower it. It should reflect the calm, grounded energy you bring into every space you enter. But sophistication doesn't end with fragrance. It's also in how you care for yourself overall. Cleanliness, grooming, the way your clothes fit, the care you put into your appearance, these are all silent signals. They don't scream for attention, but they speak of self-respect, not vanity, value. You're saying to the world, "I value myself enough to show up well," and people notice. Maybe not consciously, but they notice. The Stoics understood this principle. Seneca once wrote, "Let your outward appearance be simple and dignified, reflecting the serenity of your mind." When your external presence aligns with your inner calm, you become quietly magnetic. You don't need to say, "I respect myself." It will show in your scent, your style, your energy, and those around you will remember, because elegance is not about being seen, it's about being felt. To embody the subtle scent of sophistication, you don't need to speak. It's your presence that does the talking. Start with the small rituals in your daily self-care routine. Choose a scent that feels true to you, something that enhances, not defines, who you are. The goal isn't to impress, it's to express a quiet kind of refinement that lingers without overwhelming. Pay attention to the little details. Clean, well-groomed hair, fresh breath, a tidy appearance. These aren't grand gestures, but they speak volumes in silence. This kind of attention to detail creates an aura, a subtle sophistication that others sense, even if they can't explain it. It's not about trying to stand out. It's about being effortlessly memorable. Scent, when chosen with care and worn with restraint, becomes one of your most powerful silent signatures. It leaves behind a trace, a whisper of who you are, that lingers long after you've left the room. But remember, mastering this habit isn't just about fragrance. It's about the message it sends without a single word. I respect myself. I care about the details. I take pride in who I am. And that message, it's what makes you silently, irresistibly attractive. Habit 4, being fully present. In a world buzzing with distractions, there's something unmistakably magnetic about someone who is truly present. Being fully present goes far beyond simply showing up. It means offering your full attention to the moment and to the people in front of you. No distractions, no mental rehearsals, just full, mindful engagement. This habit doesn't demand attention. It offers something far more powerful: genuine connection. We've all felt the frustration of being half listened to. Someone stares at their phone, nodding absently, their mind's clearly elsewhere. It feels cold, dismissive, as if your words and you don't matter. But when someone is fully engaged, when they look you in the eye, listen without interrupting, and respond with genuine care, that moment feels different. You feel seen. You feel heard. You feel valued. That's the silent power of presence. It draws people in, not because you demand attention, but because you make them feel important. Being fully present doesn't mean being perfect. It means being intentional. It's choosing not to check your phone every 2 minutes. It's resisting the urge to mentally plan your next line. It's staying in the conversation, not just with your ears, but with your heart. When you master presence, your interactions deepen. People remember you, not just for what you said, but for how you made them feel. They'll want to be around you simply because being with you feels real. This wisdom isn't new. The Stoics knew it well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. To them, strength didn't come from controlling the future or clinging to the past. It came from showing up fully for the here and now. And when you are present, you become someone others trust. You take ownership of your mind, your words, your energy. That makes you grounded, balanced, magnetic." Being present also means observing without judgment. It's noticing the emotion behind someone's words, the tension in a room, the subtle shift in someone's tone or expression. This level of awareness builds social intelligence. And when social intelligence is combined with real presence, you become someone people gravitate toward, quietly, instinctively. So how do you build this habit? Start small. Practice mindfulness in the moments most people overlook. When you're talking to someone, put your phone away. When you're eating, just eat. When you're walking, notice the world around you. Listen more than you speak. Breathe deeper. Be here, fully, because when you're fully present, you radiate calm, care, and confidence. You create a space where others feel safe, heard, and appreciated. Presence is magnetic, not because it shouts, but because it sees. When you give someone your full attention, you don't need to say a word. Your presence alone tells them, you matter, and that's a message people never forget. Being fully present isn't about dramatic gestures. It's not about being perfect or saying all the right things. It's about the small, consistent moments where you choose to truly show up, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And once you master this habit, you'll start to see the shift. People will naturally open up to you. Conversations will flow more deeply. Your relationships will become richer. not because you're trying harder, but because you're really there. Presence builds trust. Trust creates connection. And connection, when grounded in respect and authenticity, creates the kind of attraction that doesn't fade. In a world full of noise and distraction, be the person who listens. Be the person who's fully there. Because when people feel seen, truly seen, they remember it. And your presence becomes magnetic, not because it demands attention, but because it offers attention. That's silent attractiveness at its finest. A steady, quiet power that leaves a lasting impression. Habit 5. A touch of mystery. In a world that constantly overshares, where every detail of every life is broadcast in real time, there's something incredibly alluring about someone who holds just a little bit back. A touch of mystery is not about being distant. It's not about being cold, secretive, or playing games. It's about knowing the value of restraint, of holding just enough back to spark curiosity. It's about creating a sense of intrigue, not by trying to be mysterious, but by simply allowing some parts of yourself to remain yours. Because mystery is magnetic. When you tell everything, show everything, explain everything, there's nothing left to discover. But when you choose your words intentionally, when you let people uncover you layer by layer, you draw them in. And it's not manipulation, it's human nature. People are wired to be curious, and when there's something about you they can't quite place, they'll keep coming back. Not for answers, but for connection. Being mysterious doesn't mean being fake. It means being intentional. You don't need to share every moment of your life. You don't have to explain every decision you make. In fact, sometimes the less you explain, the more confident you appear. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "Be silent or let your words be worth more than silence." Mystery in this sense is an act of wisdom. It's knowing when to speak and knowing when not to. And it's not just about what you say, it's about what you do. Let your actions speak louder than explanations. Make bold choices, but don't always offer the why. Let people observe you. Let them wonder. Let them feel that there's more to you than meets the eye. Another powerful way to cultivate mystery is to live a layered life. Be the person who surprises others, not by shocking them, but by slowly revealing depth. Hobbies they didn't expect, values they admire, passions that run deep. You want people to feel like every conversation with you reveals something new, something meaningful. That's the kind of presence people don't forget. To start, ask yourself honestly, am I sharing because it matters, or am I oversharing to be validated? The goal isn't to become closed off, it's to become intentional. Share enough to build connection and trust, but hold back just enough to leave room for curiosity. Let people earn the right to hear your deeper stories. Not only does this protect your peace, it makes your relationships feel more earned, more meaningful, more real. When you master this, people won't be able to place you neatly into a box. They'll sense something different. They'll lean in closer because you're the kind of person they want to understand, but never fully can. That subtle touch of mystery, the kind that quietly lingers, is what keeps you in someone's thoughts long after the conversation ends. They may not be able to explain why they're drawn to you, they just are. Because mystery invites attention without demanding it. It sparks curiosity, making people want to come closer, to ask more, to understand you on a deeper level. In a world where most people are an open book, Be the one who offers just a glimpse of the next chapter. Let them wonder. Let them imagine. Let them earn the right to know more about you over time. That balance of quiet confidence and intentional mystery is a rare combination, and that's exactly what makes your presence irresistible. Habit 6. Cultivate cultural wisdom. There's something quietly magnetic about someone who carries themselves with poise, calm confidence, and a deep understanding of the world around them. This kind of person doesn't just speak well, they listen well. They don't just share their views, they invite others to share theirs. They bring depth to every conversation, not by dominating it, but by offering thoughtful, grounded insights exactly when it's needed. That's the power of cultural wisdom. It's not about showing off how much you know. It's not about rattling off facts about countries, politics, or languages. It's about having an open, curious mind, one that seeks to understand before it seeks to be understood. Cultural wisdom means being genuinely interested in how other people live, think, believe, and feel. It means stepping outside your bubble and exploring perspectives that challenge your own. And when you carry that kind of awareness, it adds a quiet depth to your presence. People can feel it. You become the kind of person who can connect across differences, who doesn't just nod along, but engages deeply and authentically. It's this kind of presence that makes people feel seen, heard, and respected. Because you're not just offering your opinion, you're offering your empathy. You're not imposing a belief, you're extending an invitation to explore new ways of seeing. The Stoics deeply value this approach to life. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Look beneath the surface. Let not the outward appearances mislead you." Cultivating cultural wisdom allows you to do exactly that. Look deeper, not just at people, but at life. It helps you navigate complex social situations with ease, because you've trained yourself not to react impulsively, but to observe, reflect, and respond with perspective. You become more adaptable, more thoughtful, more quietly compelling. So how do you begin? Start by broadening your lens. Read books that challenge your assumptions. Watch documentaries that open doors to new cultures. Have conversations with people who don't share your background, your beliefs, or your worldview. And if you can travel, even virtually, do it. Not to collect passport stamps, but to collect insight, to understand the vast diversity of human experience. And here's something even more powerful. Listen without judgment. When someone shares their view, resist the urge to immediately agree or disagree. Instead, ask, what led you to that perspective? Be genuinely curious. Let them feel heard, not evaluated. This level of curiosity does something incredible. It makes people feel safe around you. And safety in today's world is rare. People remember the ones who give it. And when you do share, speak with humility. Speak from experience, not ego. Offer value, not to impress, but to enrich the conversation. You'll find that the most respected voices are not the loudest, but the most measured. Not the ones who speak constantly, but the ones who know when to speak and when to listen. Ask yourself, am I open to learning from every person I meet? Because cultural wisdom isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most willing to learn. And that willingness, that open-hearted awareness, it doesn't shout for attention. It draws people in, quietly, steadily, and powerfully. When you embody cultural wisdom, you don't need to prove anything. You naturally radiate a quiet intelligence that draws people in. not because you're trying to impress, but because you're genuinely interested in understanding the world and the people within it. There's a calm curiosity in your presence, a thoughtful awareness that feels both comforting and deeply stimulating. People are drawn to those who make them think, who bring depth to a conversation, not just noise. And when you carry yourself this way, you'll find that others seek your company, not for entertainment, not for drama, but because being around you feels grounding, thought-provoking, and safe. In a world filled with loud opinions and shallow noise, be the one who speaks with depth and grace. Cultivate wisdom not for performance, but for the richness it brings to your own soul. And then quietly, watch how others are drawn to the calm, steady energy you exude. That's the silent power of cultural wisdom. It doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you unforgettable. Habit 7. The heartbeat of compassion. In a fast-paced world where everyone is rushing to be seen, to be heard, to get ahead, there's something rare and powerful about someone who simply pauses to care. Compassion isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself or beg for recognition. It's quiet, subtle, and deeply transformative. It's the silent heartbeat of someone who makes others feel safe, understood, and valued. And in that presence, people naturally open up. They lean in, not because you charm them, but because they feel seen. While many chase admiration through cleverness or charisma, the most enduring form of attraction often comes from something much simpler: genuine kindness. Not the performative kind, not the type that expects praise in return, but the quiet, consistent compassion shown in the smallest of moments. A warm smile, a patient ear, a gentle, "I'm here if you need." These are not grand gestures, but they are life-changing in the eyes of the person receiving them. Because kindness, real kindness, is rare. And in a world where so many interactions are transactional, being someone who gives without expecting, that's unforgettable. Compassion creates a bridge. It allows you to meet people not on the surface, but at their emotional depth. It fosters trust. It builds closeness. It makes you magnetic, not because you're trying to be, but because you care. You don't have to fix everyone's problems. You don't have to offer brilliant advice. You simply have to show up and listen. The Stoics, often misunderstood as emotionally distant, actually placed great value on empathy and compassion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Stoic compassion isn't softness, it's strength. It's having the discipline to stay grounded while holding space for someone else's pain. It's offering comfort without losing your own center. When you approach others with that kind of presence, you become a rare light in a chaotic world. People won't always say it out loud, but they'll remember how calm, kind, and steady you were when they needed it most. And that is silently magnetic. But remember, compassion doesn't mean letting others take advantage of you. It's not about absorbing everyone's pain. It's about being kind without losing yourself. Empathetic, not overwhelmed. Generous, not depleted. Compassion starts with listening, not to respond, not to fix, but to understand. When someone opens up, resist the urge to jump in with advice. Sometimes what they need most is simply for you to stay, to hear, to be there. Compassion also means being patient with others and with yourself, because no one has it all figured out. Life is messy. People stumble. So do you. And when you offer patience in those imperfect moments, you show something that is quietly extraordinary. Emotional maturity. People will remember how you made them feel during the hard times, how you remained calm, kind, and unwavering. They may never say it directly, but they'll carry that memory, and they'll associate it with you. Ask yourself, do I make people feel seen and valued? If the answer isn't always yes, that's okay, because compassion is a habit, not a personality trait. And like any habit, it can be practiced, nurtured, and strengthened over time. It starts with being kind to yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. And the more grace you offer to your own imperfections, the more space you create to extend that grace to others. You can't pour from an empty cup. So before you offer kindness to the world, offer it to yourself first. When you're patient with your own flaws, when you speak gently to yourself in moments of doubt, it becomes effortless to extend that same grace to others. Compassion doesn't require perfection. It doesn't mean you always have the right words or that you never falter. It simply means being there, being real, being kind, especially when it's hardest to do so. And that kind of quiet kindness, it creates ripples that no speech ever could. People may not remember everything you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. You won't be remembered because you dazzled. You'll be remembered because you valued someone. In a world that too often forgets how important empathy is, in the end, the heartbeat of compassion isn't about changing the world overnight. It's about changing how you show up in it. It's about choosing to be the person who listens more than they speak, who gives without expectation, who stays patient even when it would be easier to snap. Silent attraction isn't built on noise. It's built on presence. And compassion, when offered sincerely without fanfare, is one of the most powerful forms of presence there is. Habit 8. Laughter and joy. Few things are as universally magnetic as someone who genuinely enjoys life, who knows how to smile, how to laugh, and how to lighten the mood without even trying. Laughter is a universal bridge. It crosses language, culture, and distance. It breaks down walls, dissolves awkwardness, and brings people together faster than any grand gesture ever could. When you cultivate the habit of finding joy in the everyday, even in the imperfect, ordinary, or difficult moments, you become the kind of person others wanted to be around. Why? Because your presence feels light, warm, alive. In a world weighed down by constant stress and heaviness, your joy becomes a breath of fresh air. It tells people, it's okay. You don't have to be perfect here. You can relax. That kind of presence is rare and deeply, quietly attractive. Let's be real. Life is challenging. No one escapes struggle. But those who can smile through it, who can find something to laugh about without ignoring reality, they show something powerful. Resilience. And resilience paired with joy earns respect without demanding it. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or the life of the party. It's about carrying a steady joy that doesn't need to prove itself. The Stoics, often misunderstood as stoic in the modern sense, rigid, unemotional, actually encourage this very mindset. They believe that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Choosing to respond to life with lightness, to smile instead of spiral, that's not weakness, that's quiet strength. And that strength builds deep connection. Think about your closest friendships. How many of them were built or strengthened through shared laughter, Humor builds trust. It creates belonging. It tells people, I see you and it's okay to be yourself here. When you can laugh at yourself, when you embrace your quirks, your missteps, and the randomness of life, you become approachable, relatable, real. That's what draws people in. But this isn't about trying to be funny or entertaining others all the time. It's not about forcing humor. It's about being authentic in your joy, not taking yourself too seriously, smiling at life's unpredictability, and choosing every day to notice the good. To cultivate this habit, start small. Pay attention to the tiny moments that make you smile. Lean into them. Share a light-hearted comment. Laugh at the little things. Be the one who notices joy, even when the world gives you every reason not to. And most importantly, learn to laugh at yourself. Not in a way that dismisses your worth, but in a way that says, I'm human, and that's more than enough. When others see that you're okay with imperfection, they'll feel safer showing up as their full selves too. And that's where real connection begins. Surround yourself with joy. Seek out the people who lift you up, those who laugh easily, who celebrate the little things, and who help you remember that life doesn't always have to be so serious. Joy is contagious. And when you choose to make laughter a part of your everyday life, you create something more than just happiness. You create connection. You make the space around you feel lighter, more relaxed, more alive. Ask yourself, am I allowing joy to be a part of my daily life? Because it's easy to get lost in the weight of responsibilities, the pressure to perform, the endless seriousness. But there's strength, not weakness, in finding the humor even when things aren't perfect. It shows you can face life's unpredictability with grace. It shows resilience, and that's a trait people deeply admire. Remember, silent attractiveness isn't about dramatic gestures. It's about the quiet, steady qualities that leave a lasting impression. When your laughter is real, when your joy is authentic, when you lift others up simply by enjoying the moment, people are drawn to you. You don't need to perform. You don't need to impress. Just be in the moment. Find what makes you smile and share it. Because when you carry joy in your spirit and let it touch the people around you, something powerful happens. You become unforgettable. People may not remember the words you said, but they'll remember how they felt in your presence. So bring a little humor, a little lightness, and a little joy wherever you go. That's the kind of silent attraction that follows you without a sound. Habit 9, the art of self-care. There's a quiet, undeniable magnetism in someone who genuinely takes care of themselves. Not for attention, not out of vanity, but from deep self-respect. Self-care is more than a checklist, more than a routine. It's a message, one you deliver without saying a word. It says, I value myself, I respect my body, I honor my mind, and I am committed to protecting both. That kind of energy, calm, grounded, whole, naturally draws people in. Not because you're asking for validation, but because people are instinctively attracted to balance. Self-care isn't about constant pampering. It's not about perfection or luxury. It's about consistency. It's about doing the small things day in and day out that keep you centered, energized, and at peace. Let's start with the foundation, your body. A person who cares for their body, who moves, rests, eats well, and stays active, is someone who sends a silent but powerful message. I take responsibility for myself. You don't need six-pack abs. You don't need to follow some extreme lifestyle. But when others see that you respect your physical health, they notice. It creates a quiet admiration because it's rare to see someone consistently committed to their own well-being. And that kind of discipline, that kind of respect for your own vessel, it doesn't need to be shouted, it radiates. But self-care goes far beyond the physical. It extends deeply into your emotional and mental well-being. Life is full of stress. We all face setbacks, losses, uncertainty. But those who make space to care for their inner world, those who pause to breathe, to journal, to reflect, those are the people who carry an uncommon calm. And that calm is magnetic. Meditation, nature walks, turning off your phone, saying no when you need to. These aren't luxuries. They are acts of self-preservation. They are how you protect your energy and preserve your peace. And when you protect your peace, you become someone others want to be around. The Stoics believe this deeply. Seneca once wrote, "A sound mind and a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state." When you nurture both body and mind, you align yourself with this ancient wisdom. You don't just feel better, you become better. You show up to the world more fully, more steadily, and more attractively. And you don't have to say a word. Your calm speaks for you. Your balance speaks for you. Your quiet strength speaks for you, because self-care doesn't scream for attention. It embodies it. And the person who shows they respect themselves, that's the person others are drawn to. Setting healthy boundaries is a powerful act of self-respect. It means knowing when to say no, when to rest, and when to place your needs above the constant demands of the world around you. People who respect themselves enough to set boundaries often carry an undeniable attractiveness, not because they're unavailable, but because they know their worth. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They protect your energy, your peace, and your priorities. And when you are mindful of where you invest your time and attention, others begin to respect you without you even asking for it. Ask yourself, am I caring for myself in a way that reflects my self-worth? If the answer is not always, that's okay. Start small. Make self-care non-negotiable. Get enough sleep. Eat foods that nourish you. Pause during the day to breathe, to check in with yourself, to come back to center. These simple acts may seem minor in the moment, but over time they compound. They shape a life that feels balanced, grounded, and alive. True self-care is not selfish, it's essential. Because when you take care of yourself, you show up better for everyone else, with more patience, more clarity, more energy, and a presence that feels steady and safe. People notice those who live in balance, not because they're shouting for attention, but because their stillness stands out in a world of noise. In the end, the art of self-care isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about showing up for yourself, even on the hard days. It's about respecting your body, honoring your mind, and nurturing your emotional well-being. And when you do, something beautiful happens. You radiate quiet confidence. You become someone whose presence speaks volumes without saying a word. So take care of yourself, not because anyone's watching, but because you are worth it. And as you do, just watch. The world will begin to take notice. Habit 10, emotional intelligence and social awareness. There's something effortlessly magnetic about a person who just gets it. Someone who can walk into a room, sense the mood, and adjust with calm, grounded grace. That's the power of emotional intelligence paired with social awareness. And it's one of the most quietly compelling traits a person can possess. It's not about manipulating others. It's not about reading minds or controlling outcomes. It's about tuning in, really tuning in, to the emotional landscape of those around you and responding with care, empathy, and intention. At its core, emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions while staying attuned to the emotions of others. Imagine a tense situation. Everyone is on edge. Voices are rising, tension is thick. But in the middle of it all, there's one person who stays calm, grounded, composed. That's emotional intelligence in action. They don't add to the fire. They observe. They listen. They choose their words with care. And because of that, they become the anchor others instinctively turn to. This kind of steady presence doesn't demand attention. It attracts it. Because people don't just remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And when you practice emotional intelligence, you create something rare, a space where people feel heard, understood, and safe. You're not trying to win arguments or dominate the conversation. You're listening with intention. You're responding with compassion. You're creating connection. And that makes you unforgettable. Now let's talk about social awareness. The ability to read the room, pick up on cues, and adjust your behavior with tact and grace. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to step forward and when to step back. It's not performance, it's presence. The Stoics placed great importance on this kind of self-mastery and understanding. Epictetus taught that wisdom begins with observing yourself and others. And when you combine emotional intelligence with social awareness, you move through the world differently. You don't force connection, you facilitate it. You don't chase attention, you hold space. You become someone who can adapt without losing yourself. Someone who can stay calm even when others aren't. Someone who people instinctively trust even when they can't explain why. To cultivate this habit, begin by observing. Watch how you react when you're under pressure. Notice how others respond in conversations. Ask yourself, am I listening to connect or just waiting to speak? Take time to pause before you respond. Be curious, not just clever. Offer understanding, not just opinions. And remember, emotional intelligence isn't loud. It's steady, it's strong. It's a kind of silent wisdom that draws people in, again and again. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's the essence of social awareness. It allows you to engage meaningfully without overwhelming, interrupting, or trying to dominate the moment. It's the quiet art of reading the room, of listening with your whole presence, and adjusting with subtlety. Developing emotional intelligence begins with one powerful skill: self-awareness. Ask yourself, how do I usually react in emotionally charged situations? The goal isn't to suppress what you feel, it's to respond to it with clarity and balance. When you're aware of your triggers, when you know how to ground yourself before reacting, you project a calm strength that others instinctively trust. You're no longer easily rattled. You're steady, present, grounded, and that kind of energy is magnetic. Once you've developed self-awareness, the next step is empathy, the ability to truly understand what someone else might be feeling, even if they don't say it out loud. Empathy doesn't mean fixing people. It doesn't mean you have all the answers. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you can do is offer a quiet nod, a patient ear, or a thoughtful response. These small, unseen acts of presence They're the ones people never forget. And social awareness is just as much about what you bring into a space. Are you adding calm or amplifying chaos? Before you speak, pause. Observe. Notice the energy of the room, the rhythm of the conversation, the emotions beneath the words. That doesn't just make you more likable, it makes you more effective, more trusted, and more respected. To cultivate this habit, be intentional. Put away distractions when you're with someone. Make eye contact. Really listen, not to reply, but to understand. Pay attention to tone, to body language, to what's being said between the lines. These subtle shifts in awareness, they have huge impact because people are drawn to those who make them feel seen and safe. Ask yourself, am I bringing calm and clarity into my conversations, or am I unintentionally adding tension? When you show up with presence and emotional maturity, people feel it. They'll seek out your energy, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because your presence makes them feel more like themselves. And in a world where ego and impulsiveness often run the show, your quiet emotional intelligence will shine like a beacon. It doesn't shout. It doesn't posture. It resonates. It's the kind of presence people remember. Because when you're present, when you're emotionally attuned, when you know when to speak and when to listen, when to lead and when to follow, you leave behind more than words. You leave behind connection. Habit 11, consistency and reliability. In a world where people so often overpromise and underdeliver, few things are more quietly attractive than someone who simply shows up, not with fanfare, not for praise, but because they said they would. Consistency and reliability are traits that don't need to be announced. They reveal themselves through action. Every time you keep your word, every time you follow through, every time you support someone, not just once, but again and again, you build trust. And trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. You don't have to be the loudest, the most talented, or the most charming. If people know they can count on you, you've already won something far more valuable: respect. Consistency creates stability. It lets others relax around you. They don't have to wonder if you're going to change overnight. They don't have to question your intentions. You become a grounding force, someone they can lean on, someone they can believe in. Reliability says, you matter enough for me to be there, and few things are more powerful than that. When you're consistent, when you do what you say you'll do, people begin to associate your name with something rare: stability. In a world full of uncertainty and unpredictability, that's not just attractive, it's priceless. Reliability doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up, even when it's inconvenient. It means keeping your promises, even when no one is watching. It means being the kind of person who says, "I've got you," and means it. Think about how rare that is today. How many people flake out at the last minute? How many make promises they never intend to keep? How many only show up when it benefits them? But you, when you choose to be steady, when you follow through again and again, even on the small things, you stand out, not because you're loud, but because you're solid. Stoic philosophy puts enormous value on this way of living. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's the essence of consistency. Don't just talk about your values, live them, quietly, faithfully, and people will see. Because when your actions align with your words, when your presence is dependable, people will feel it. They'll trust you, they'll respect you, and they'll want to be around you. That's the quiet power of being dependable. It builds a kind of magnetic presence, one that doesn't need approval, one that's rooted in inner discipline and self-respect. Because when you're reliable, you're not just keeping commitments to others, you're keeping them to yourself. Every time you show up for your personal goals, every time you stick to your values, your habits, your vision, you build confidence, not the kind you have to announce, but the kind that others feel when you enter the room. To cultivate this habit, start small. Keep the tiny promises. Show up when you say you will. Even if it's just waking up on time, going for that short walk, or returning a message you said you would. Because those small actions, they compound. They form the foundation of a solid reputation. A reputation built not on grand gestures, but on steady presence. Reliability also means being emotionally consistent. It means not being reactive, moody, or unpredictable. It means bringing calm into a room, not chaos. Steady people soothe those around them, and in times of tension, they become a source of quiet reassurance. Ask yourself, am I someone people can rely on? If the answer isn't always yes, don't worry. Start with yourself. Be consistent with your routines. Show up for your own life. And from there, extend that reliability to the people who matter. Reliability doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It earns respect, quietly, steadily, over time. And in a world full of distractions, inconsistencies, and fleeting promises, being the person who shows up, who keeps their word, who honors their values, that's rare. That's magnetic. Final reflection, the power of silent attractiveness. At the end of the day, true attractiveness isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's not about charm, beauty, or flashy displays. It's about who you are when no one's watching. It's about the habits you've quietly cultivated, the energy you carry, the presence you offer others, not to impress, but to connect. Throughout this episode, we've explored 11 socially attractive habits, each one rooted in calm confidence, inner strength, emotional awareness, and deep, intentional living. We talked about authenticity, grace, kindness, stillness, laughter, wisdom, and consistency. Together, they form a kind of magnetism that doesn't try to draw people in. It simply does. So if you've ever felt like you needed to try harder to be liked or respected, pause. Because the truth is, the most powerful presence isn't the one trying to be noticed. It's the one that makes people feel safe, seen, and inspired. That's silent attractiveness. You don't need to shout. You don't need to compete. You don't even need to be the best in the room. You just need to become the most aligned, most intentional, most genuine version of yourself. Let your actions speak. Let your energy connect. And let your quiet strength shine through. Because when you master these habits, you won't need to chase respect. You'll become someone others are silently drawn to, over and over again. When you cultivate independence, you send a powerful message. You respect yourself. You don't rely on external validation to define your worth. When you master silent elegance, you create an aura of grace, one that captivates not with noise but with presence. Subtle sophistication reveals itself in the details. Being fully present deepens your connections. A touch of mystery draws others in without explanation. Cultural wisdom expands your mind, enriching every interaction you have. And then come the anchors, compassion that softens, humor that uplifts, self-care that restores, emotional intelligence that connects, consistency that earns trust, Each of these habits adds a new layer to your quiet magnetism, and together, they shape a presence that is calm, composed, and undeniably attractive. The beauty is, you don't have to change who you are. These habits simply invite you to align more closely with the best version of yourself. Silent attraction isn't about being noticed. It's about becoming someone who naturally earns respect and admiration, not through performance, but through presence. Not by being perfect, but by being real, intentional, grounded, fully you. And when you embrace this way of living, you won't just transform how others see you, you'll transform how you see yourself. You'll move through life with quiet assurance, with dignity, with a kind of confidence that doesn't shout because it doesn't need to. In the end, true attractiveness begins with self-respect, with intentional living, with the courage to show up fully even when no one's watching. So as you move forward, pause, reflect. Which habit resonated with you most? Which one can you begin to practice today? It doesn't require a dramatic change, just one small, mindful step at a time. Because over time, those small steps will reshape the way you carry yourself. They'll reshape the energy you bring into the world, and they'll leave a lasting impression without a single word.